The Leman Russ battle tank is the primary main battle tank of the Astra Militarum, and is also the most widely deployed tank in the Imperium. This medium tank is named after the Primarch of the Space Wolves, Leman Russ. Far from a sophisticated vehicle, the Leman Russ was designed and built with reliability and versatility in mind. It can survive the worst the galaxy can throw at it, and can run on almost any combustible liquid fuel. Though the Leman Russ is slow, its frontal armor is strong enough to withstand the multitude of weaponry wielded by the enemies of the Emperor of Mankind. Its side and rear armor remains thinner to reduce the strain on the tank's engines. This characteristic does make the Leman Russ vulnerable to assault from these angles, requiring infantry support, other tanks, or very careful operation to protect the vehicle. The Leman Russ can only perform to its optimum capabilities when all of these elements are combined during an Imperial armoured advance. The Leman Russ main battle tank is an ironclad declaration of might made manifest. They are the mainstay of the Astra Militarum's armoured forces, lumbering slabs of armour and intolerance whose inexorable advance has ground 1 billion foes of the Imperium to bloody ruin. What the Leman Russ lacks in speed, it more than makes up for in brute force and survivability. Enemy fire patters from its inches-thick armour like dust on the wind. Between its sponsons, hull and turret, the Russ carries enough firepower to pound almost any foe into submission. The tank's rugged simplicity and ease of manufacture ensures that the Imperium can field whole companies of Leman Russ with ease, burying the outnumbered foe beneath waves of irresistible armoured fury. Dedicated Leman Russ tank companies play a key role in Imperial strategy, and the greatest Imperial tank offensives will see armoured formations many kilometres in breadth sweep all before them in a rumbling tide. However, it is common to see armoured companies broken into squadrons to support infantry and artillery elements in the field. The presence of even one Leman Russ can provide an enormous boost to the fighting strength and morale of Imperial Guard infantry, while a whole squadron of such armoured brutes wields serious destructive power. Leman Russ squadrons can be deployed to spearhead an all-out offensive, reduce an enemy breakthrough to a tangle of blood-soaked wreckage, or safeguard the thundering guns of an artillery company from attack. With its many common variants, the Leman Russ is a versatile and deadly tool in the arsenal of any Imperial Guard commander. The Leman Russ is crewed by a minimum of 4 crewmen, including a commander, gunner, loader and driver. Side sponson weapons may be added, each of which requires an additional crew member to operate. The Leman Russ is simple to operate, but very loud and uncomfortable for its crew. Due to the noise, intra-vehicle communication is only viable by an enclosed intercom system, with the commander having access to an external Voxcaster. The Leman Russ battle tank was first developed at some point during the Dark Age of technology, but by the end of the Age of Strife, no traces of it remained. It was only during the Great Crusade that its STC template was rediscovered by the 6th Legion of the Legiones Astartes, the Space Wolves, on the Xenos-dominated hive world of Nova Borilia. As they had been led by their Primarch, the great Leman Russ, the Mechanicum of Mars, chose to honour the Space Wolves by naming the newly discovered battle tank after their gene-sire. The Leman Russ battle tank proved to be a reliable and proven armoured vehicle named after the Primarch in honour of his savage ferocity in war. Numerous sub-patterns mounted a wide array of weapons in service of the elite solar auxilia were often enhanced to the solar pattern, fitted with supplementary survival and exploration systems. Leman Russ tanks in auxilia strike squadrons were fitted with extended fuel reserves, and their engines enhanced with forced induction chargers. These combined to increase the tank's speed and operational range substantially, allowing them to make wide flanking advances in order to engage an enemy at the moment the infantry sections launched their own attack. Leman Russ assault squadrons consisted of heavily armoured variants of the solar pattern, reconfigured for direct assault against fortified enemies. They lacked the speed of the Strike Russ squadrons, but were formidably durable. Their main weapons were comparatively short-ranged in relation to the artillery batteries, but they were used in a direct assault role or in close support of the infantry tercios, in particular those mounted in Dracosan armoured carriers. The plasma destroyer, mounted on the executioner, and the Volkite demi-culverin with which the incinerator was armed, were rare and highly prized weapons more commonly seen on the war machines of the Legiones Astartes, and they had to be painstakingly calibrated and intensively ministered to by tech priests assigned to the cohort to ensure their continued operation. In the 41st millennium, the Leman Russ tank is the mainstay of most Imperial Guard armoured regiments and is produced by the millions in Forge Worlds and Hive World manufactorums across the galaxy. The tank is also used by many other Imperial forces, such as Planetary Defence Forces and the Adeptus Arbites. Their main weapons were comparatively short-ranged in relation to the artillery batteries, but they were used in a direct assault role or in close support of the infantry tercios, in particular those mounted in Dracosan armoured carriers. The plasma destroyer mounted on the executioner and the Volkite demi-culverin with which the incinerator was armed were rare and highly prized weapons more commonly seen on the war machines of the Legiones Astartes, and they had to be painstakingly calibrated and intensively ministered to by tech priests assigned to the cohort to ensure their continued operation. In the 41st millennium, the Leman Russ tank is the mainstay of most Imperial Guard armoured regiments and is produced by the millions in Forge Worlds and Hive World manufactorums across the galaxy. The tank is also used by many other Imperial forces, such as Planetary Defence Forces and the Adeptus Arbites. The basic and most common armament of the Leman Russ tank is a turret-mounted battle cannon and a hull-mounted heavy bolter. Alternatively, a las cannon can be mounted on the tank's hull instead of the heavy bolter. The Leman Russ can be equipped with two sponson mounts, one on each side. The most common configuration for the sponson mount is two heavy bolters or two heavy flamers. Leman Russ tanks that are a part of a well-equipped armoured regiment sometimes have two multi-melters or two plasma cannons as their sponson weapons. What I cannot crush, with words I will crush with the tanks of the Imperial Guard. Lord Solar Macarius.